Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our April edition of the Wisconsin Veterans Museum's Drink and Draw. Our guest artist, or not our guest artist, our resident artist, Yvette Pino, is in with us tonight. And she's going to be looking at different aspects of positive and negative. Oh, I forgot the last word there, Yvette.
Space.
Space, yes. She's going to explain all that to you. But before we get started, I would just like to briefly thank the Wisconsin Veterans Museum Foundation and their executive director, Ms. Jennifer Carlson, for all of their fantastic support that they give us for not only drink and draw events, but all of our other events that we do virtually at the museum, such as our trivia night, our movie discussion night, all our curator conversations. And you can find all those on our website, wisvetsmuseum.com. We've got a lot of events coming up to carry us through the spring and into the summer. So please go to our website and look for those. And we'd love to see you come out for some of our other events as well. As we go through the event tonight, if you have any questions or comments, you can always submit them through the chat function on Zoom. And somebody will get to those and relay any messages that we have to Yvette. And speaking of Yvette, I'm going to turn it right over to you. Yvette, floor is all yours.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. Everybody, good evening and welcome to Drink and Draw. Let's see if we can spotlight my screen here. Welcome to Drink and Draw tonight. As Eric mentioned, we're going to focus on some positive and negative space. And for those of you that are unaware of what that means, it's essentially a tool to help you with composition. The negative space is sort of the air in between the objects. So if I'm standing and you see my legs coming down, the space in between my legs is the negative space. Or if my elbow is to the side, any of this area here is the negative space, and the positive space is actually the object that you're drawing. And the reason this technique is used is to help you get the outline of your figure without drawing that outline. You focus on the negative space to build up your composition. And in all honesty, as an artist or as somebody that was learning how to draw, this was not necessarily my favorite approach because it seems sort of backwards in a way, but it also is not the most, it doesn't have all the sparkle and greatness of like perspective drawing. But really, as you start to get better at your drawings, if you find yourself kind of in a way where you're not sure where to go with your drawing or how to even start, using the negative space to start your composition is a really helpful tool that I do return to every once in a while when I'm trying to figure out why my composition is not working. So as always with Drink and Draw, we try to feature something from our collection. So I have a couple of items tonight, and I'll turn the music up just a little bit just so that you don't have to just hear the drone of my voice. And I'll tell you what the theme of the music is here in a second. But why don't we go ahead and get to my drawing. I use an iPad with a program called Procreate, and you can use pen and paper. That's whatever drawing implements you have at your house. For tonight, we're going to be focusing on this object, which I'll tell you where it comes from and what it is. And then I have a couple of, this is just going to be our warm-up drawing. But what I really want to show you, and I'm going to go ahead and take myself off the screen. We've got this shared screen here. So when I take my, there we go. When I'm no longer on it, once you start seeing my blank screen, you'll be able to see me drawing here. And then you'll be able to still see the subject of what we'll be drawing. This particular item is a gas mask from the Timothy McHugh collection, and I'll refer to that here in a minute and double check when I tell you his story. He was with the Airborne Rangers in Vietnam, and this is from his collection of found items that he has. And I'll go into our link in Past Perfect. I believe Molly just shared the link on chat if you want to go to our website and view the story behind this gas mask and Timothy's veteran story. I liked the way this image looked. So I will be giving you a little bit of background of the story, but we are here to draw tonight. So I want to get us started in a little bit of a warm up. Now, I mentioned that if I pull up the image here, I mentioned that we were going to be doing positive and negative space. So let me just identify what that means. So all of this area out here is going to be negative space. All of this. This is negative space. This is negative space. And then, of course, the actual object itself is positive. So positive, negative. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the most obvious negative space, which is, well, it's obvious to me. The most obvious would be out here, but I'm going to start in here. So let's take this layer off, and I'll take this off. And I'll switch back to, and I'm just using a pencil to draw. So I'm going to look at the inside of that, what would be the lens, the eye lens cover, and identify. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do too. I want to be able to reference this myself too and point out some stuff. So I'm going to start at that eye lens there. So it's zoomed in on my screen, but on your shared screen, you should be able to see the full size image. And let us know in chat if you are having trouble viewing or if you need to interrupt me for this program. I welcome you. Feel free to chat, and Molly's going to interrupt me if you guys have questions and you need me to stop, or if something I'm saying is not making sense. So I'm just identifying this interior area of this eyepiece on this gas mask. What's really great about Timothy's collection is that we also have an oral history from him. So he talks about his time that, well, he served in his training and officer candidate school, and then becoming the training he did to become a ranger before he went to Vietnam. And I started reading that this evening, and it's quite an interesting story. He was trained to go replace a platoon that had pretty much been decimated by the Tet Offensive in 1968. So you can see here where I've identified that open area. And now what I'm going to do, without trying to draw any outline of the actual object, I'm going to cover the negative space out here on the outside of the mask. So this is one of those exercises where I have to really look at the object and think about what the size is. And I'm not trying to identify what I'm drawing. I'm trying to just look at the lines and guide me around the object. If you guys were with us when I did upside down drawing, this is very similar in that your brain is trying to tell you what you're looking at, but you have to just concentrate and look at the object and the lines and trace it with your mind and let your pencil guide you. And so I'm not trying to create, I mean, if you'd like, this would be a wonderful still life to create a beautiful composition. But this is more of an exercise to work my brain. And you're going to see on the second drawing that I pick that I'm not messing around. I went a little crazy with my selection. I always do that to myself. I find these really challenging drawings, and it just makes me a better artist when I do that. So we're coming around here. I'll zoom back out on this drawing over here. You can see I'm now at that top edge up here. And before I lose my path here, I just got to look at what I'm doing. Pull down. And I always do things a little too big or too small. And already I see, forgive me, I'm going to cheat here because I always go off my canvas. And this is why I do this, because I'm terrible at judging my canvas and making things the right size. So I never thought I'd like drawing on a computer, but I really like it for that reason, because it's a lot more forgiving than when I'm on a piece of paper and then I run out of paper. I still have drawings from when I was a kid, and they're taped to, there's pieces of paper taped together because I could never stay on one sheet of paper. So we're going to go around here. I'm going to move this over. Let's see. There's a little bump there. And I go up. And at some point tonight, I have a guest here with me. He might join me. My dad is in town, and my dad is an Army veteran himself. I am an Army veteran too. If you've joined us before, you probably are aware of that. And my dad is here with me tonight at my house. And this item was selected because I asked him what kind of item, military item, and the Rangers came up. So and he's walking over here. He'll probably step in and wave here in a little bit, but I won't make him. I did get my drawing skills from my dad, but I won't make him draw with me tonight. You want to say hi, Dad? Oh, wait, I don't have the monitor. Here we go. You say hi to everybody at Drink and Draw.
Hello, how's everybody? Glad to be here with you tonight.
Thanks, Dad. So these are the kind of drawing exercises that I would do when I was growing up, and my dad would find drawing books for me to learn from. So you guys are welcome, because it's because of my dad that we have these fun drawing classes here. So you can see I'm starting to get to this little end here, and then I'll make my way here. And I think this area, now that I've completed it, is way too long. So that's okay. This is just an exercise to get our hand warmed up. So now I'm going to look at this negative space here next to the eyepiece. And I'm going to loop this around. And then I'll bring it down and cut it across. So now that I have those areas identified, I'm going to probably move on to a different drawing here, but I want to just mention where I lost my way, I think was right around here, and I'm not sure. Oh, I know what it is. I didn't go far enough out this way. You can see here that this should actually be much more to the right. So I'm going to now add some of the positive space outline here to see where I lost my way. And this by all means is not a finished drawing. So this is how I can look at it and say, wait, this isn't making sense. And it's because I have, now I can go through and add into the drawing. Let's see, I'm just looking, let's see if there's a, so go here. Yeah, and now everything here should move to the right. So even those of us that are experienced artists who have, I draw all the time, obviously, and I do a lot of artwork. These are the types of drawing exercises that I do to keep my skill set intact, because when it comes to composition, this is the stuff that brings me back to the discipline of it. There's a lot of discipline that goes into this that said, I didn't take my time enough with it. So I didn't get the scale correct at all. And that's okay, because I actually have a tendency in my compositions to do a lot of exaggerated scale. So for me, this would be something where I would, venture off of the exercise and then start creating a little bit looser rendering. So there's not a lot to this actual object. to do with positive, negative, but I really wanted to sort of point out how you can start in something right here in this negative area, this negative space, to really start figuring out your composition. Let's try a different item. So we'll take that one off. So this is from Timothy's collection as well, and this is his rucksack. So if you're not familiar with what a rucksack is, it's essentially your backpack, and when you're marching, you've got the frame, and that helps add additional weight. So a lot of campers, if you're a big time camper, you've seen framed packs like this. So this has the metal frame. The packs nowadays are plastic, but I still had a metal frame that I was issued. So let me add another reference image here.
We had straps.
You had straps on yours? Yeah, this have straps on the back. I mean,
We didn't have the metal. We had the straps to hook everything on.
so now let me also change your reference video here. And hopefully I did. So this reference video on the right is going to be a little bit more difficult to see because of the proportions. So if you want on this one to focus just on the pack itself and just draw freehand, feel free. If you can see my reference drawing here to the left, I won't zoom in on it, so you can keep your eye on that. For the sake of teaching and keeping things on scale, I want to show you, I'm going to trace on this one so that you get a better idea of what you're looking for when you're drawing. Actually, I'll stick with my regular pencil, and then I'll make this a little bit lighter. So when we're looking, this one's a good reference to use for positive, negative space because it's got a little bit more wide open areas. So we're going to focus in on this area here is negative space. And I'm cheating, I know I'm tracing, but if you really want to get your brain to think about this, you can do this. Get yourself a piece of tracing paper, get the item you want to draw, and this helps get you the feel of how items are angled. Another fun thing you can do is look out your window if you have a window available to you. And this is how you can practice perspective as well. Tape a piece of tracing paper or even a regular printer paper on your window, and then trace the items that you're looking out onto. And it's a great way to see how lines fall in distance. If you're not good at perspective, it's a really great way to learn how to get perspective and trace to learn how it works. So of course I'm tracing, so this goes a lot faster, but we're looking at just identifying all of this space in between the actual physical object. And that helps you keep your brain off of thinking about shadow and all the details of the object. You're just identifying how it sits in the space. Now with faces, I wouldn't recommend this because when you're starting to draw portraits, unless you're working in cartoons, you don't want to get in the habit of outlining things. This is really a composition building tool. I was always taught not to outline, but in fact, to build up your values to lead out to the exterior of the image. So you're using light and dark to build depth, dimension, rather than an outline of a form. But that is not what we're focusing on tonight. So again, this is Tim's rucksack, and he was a ranger and he was airborne. So that meant he jumped out of airplanes. So that's, I would think this is really compacted down they would have to pack their gear a lot differently so that they would be wearing their chute. And I'm not even, I don't believe they would be wearing this when they jump out. I'm not sure. They wouldn't be wearing the ruck to jump.
Mm,
They might be.
It might be.
So another way you can use positive negative is that while the shadows on this object aren't actual empty negative space, I will use the folds as a way of identifying negative space to make sure I'm on the wrong layer. To give me a guideline for where that crease and shadow lies. So when you start building in your composition, you've got these wonderful folds that you know are shadows. So they're not actual empty holes, but now I know how the fabric lies, and you can start to see the dimension of the object take shape. Now, I'm a printmaker and I do a lot of screen printing. So this kind of drawing helps for graphic drawings to really develop that graphic two-dimensional vector computer-based art. This sort of outline artwork is really beneficial for that, because then I could go in and fill all these with solid colors and make layers to develop my multicolored composition. So I'm gonna get in real tight in here on these seams. And then after I get all these outlined, I'll turn off the picture so you can see what it looks like after we've developed this line drawing. We've got some buckles. Okay, so on the buckles, I'll zoom in here. I'm going to zoom back out, so don't worry if you can't see it. But on the buckles, that area actually is a negative space in there. There is, in fact, an opening. So I'll zoom in on my drawing. This space right here is real negative space. And when I say real, I mean as opposed to those shadows, which are not, but I use this exercise to identify that space. So see what I did? I actually ended up started outlining the object, and I don't want to do that because that's not what we're focusing on. And because I'm tracing, I'm going a little fast. So if you're drawing freehand, which I hope you are, which you likely are because I didn't share these images ahead of time for you. The important part is to really take your time and follow the object with your eye. So if this is my pen over here, I'm going to be following the object with my eye slowly and then moving around. Now, that's not something on the outside. I was just making an example. Let's get some more of these shadows in here, because let me see my time. Let's see, what time is it? 7:24. Okay, yeah. So I definitely want to at 7:30 move to the next one, and I'll tell you, you'll see why. Because I want to spend a good amount of time on that one, but I also don't want to rush through these. So hopefully after we're done, you'll thank me for getting us these warm-up drawings. Because once you see what we're drawing, you'll have wanted the warm-up. It was probably not the greatest use of my grammar skills right then, but. So put it here. So again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to write it in the chat. And make sure you take a look at the chat so you get the link for these images online. I didn't get a chance this round of Drink and Draw to put these on our blog post. So we're sharing the links with you of how you can actually visit our collection, our online museum collection, which is really quite nice because then you get the whole story. Then you get to know a little bit about the veteran that this collection came from. Not sure if I've shared a Vietnam veteran collection yet this year on Drink and Draw. So it's also nice to pay homage to those Vietnam veterans. So I took a little artistic liberty with the curviness. Let me make this a little bit darker so you can see what I'm saying. These lines, it's funny on my rucksack. So these straps on a rucksack are actually removable. So they look like they're part of the frame, but there's a little opening up here, and this strap has to be woven through and then buckled on the other side. And then you can't see the rear of the frame, but anybody that's had a rucksack like this, for me personally, I don't know, I shouldn't speak on behalf of everybody else, but the straps are the most frustrating part of this whole mechanism, trying to get them on and trying to get them on correctly. And I felt like once I figured out how to put the straps on, it was like I mastered something great. And so it's funny, I'm looking at these straps right now, and I just had like this like flow of memories because I ended up with, I think I lost, they actually have a left and a right. So you can't really tell in this picture, but the straps themselves have a, let me get back onto the screen here. They have a curve based off of what side they sit on. It's a slight curve, but your left strap would curve outward like that, and your right strap, which actually would be, this would be your left and this would be your right. But they have a curve, a slight curve, and it's really hard to tell sometimes. But when you're wearing the rucksack, you know if you put them on incorrectly. They also have a front to a back, and again, you really, sometimes you can't tell until you try to put that rucksack on full of 75 pounds worth of gear. So seeing these straps is really funny to me because I could never get them to align correctly on my shoulders, and the mechanism up here was super frustrating. I still to this day though prefer the metal rucksack frame to the new Alice or Molly kits. Not Molly Snow, who's joining us here from the education department, but Molly, M-O-L-L-E. Those are prefab plastic molded, like really high-end plastic molded frames, but those I just prefer the metal frame. I felt like it was a lot more user-friendly. I'm sure you all didn't want to know that much about rucksacks, but there's a lot of memories that goes with these rucksacks because they come, what makes these really cool is they come with different, would be a small, and then there's a medium size pack, and then there's a large size pack, and they all can be sort of stacked and compartmentalized. And then at the top, you can put your sleep gear, your sleep system. But then you see these straps here. Oops, that's an eraser. You see these straps here. They have another use where they keep all your accessories that you put on top. They keep it all together. So if you have a sleep system, you can really ratchet those straps down to make sure that your sleeping pad and your sleep system stay down. So the buckles are, there's a lot of extra straps, but you learn to roll them up and either tape them or Velcro them. That Velcro really didn't exist a lot, but they have special things now. But if your straps aren't tidy and rolled up, you get gigged on that. So you learn really quickly how to maintain this gear. All of that storytelling just because of a shoulder strap. And I think that probably took me all the way through my time that I wanted to spend. But anyway, these little marks here, hopefully now when you look at this drawing, you'll have the memory of Yvette trying to perfect her rucksack straps. Okay, so there's a little bit of shadow area in here. And then I accidentally erased from the negative space there. And there's a little negative space in here that I didn't really quite get. Another area here. Another little shadow here. Let's see. Let me get this area. So I'm using the negative space as a way to build up shadows as well. Oh, a real negative space I forgot about over here. And on the outside here. At the end, we'll open it up. Let's see if some of you want to share your drawings with me. I've had a few of you share with me after the fact and email me. That's always been so much fun. But you can see now, we've got this really great line drawing that I'll take the arrow out here. We have this really great line drawing, which can function as a really great foundation. Now, if I want to go in, this is like a coloring book, right? So if I want to go in and color this, I have a great outline and I don't have to worry about where to start or where to go from. I obviously cheated on this one because I traced it, but even on the other one, if I hadn't have messed up the left-hand side, we'd have some great foundation to go off of to start adding color. So if I wanted to get some big, bold color on this, I'll get a green, which conveniently I already had. But yeah, I can go in and start adding. I'm going to start a new layer. I'm going to go in with a different drawing implement. Let's go with some ink, like a marker. So I want to go in, I want to start adding some green. I'm not really liking this marker right now, but then we know where we're at, what we want to do, and we know that these areas here where I said they were shadows, we know that they're going to be darker, so we can just start filling those in. I was never a color in the line sort of person, so there might be some of you out there cringing because I'm just going at it. But that's okay. That's how I color. But I think you guys get the idea. Now you know you have an outline of how you want to move forward with creating a wonderful line drawing to get you to start coloring it in. All right, so now's the big reveal. If you heard the music at the very beginning, it had a little bit of a Pirates of the Caribbean theme going on. And oh, thanks, Molly. Molly shared the link to this rucksack to our webpage in the chat. So if you want to learn more again about Timothy's story, you can visit the webpage and view that. So let's start a new. So this ship right here, I'll make this reference image really big. This ship is a carved wooden model of the USS Constitution, which was what? Old Ironsides, my dad says. This was carved by, I believe, William Stark. And I keep saying I believe because normally I have like a split screen with the website that I can pull up. Actually, I can do that real quick. It is William Stark, who was in the US Navy in World War II. And he carved this U.S. Constitution model was carved by William Stark, a native of Waukesha, Wisconsin. He served in the Navy in World War II, and he made it while recovering at the U.S. Naval Special Hospital in Sun Valley, Idaho, one of the many convalescent hospitals established by the Navy at former resorts and hotels for sailors who no longer needed general hospitalization. So I just want to reiterate the fact that this was actually made by a sailor while on convalescence. So it really is quite stunning. If any of you are model builders in general, it takes a lot of meticulous care to make these, and a lot of collectors look for these objects. But when I tell you I decided to challenge us today, I decided to challenge us today. So on the left here, my left, on my drawing, you can see, I'm making it larger here. This is the full model, and you can go to the link. Molly will share that link with you and see different vantage points of this ship. For tonight, we're not going to do the whole ship. There is a close-up. Let me take this canvas off real quick. There is a close-up of the ship. There's different angles again on the webpage, but I thought we'd focus on this little area. This is a great area to focus on positive, negative space, because you've got all of these. Let me start a new. You've got all of these areas in between the ropes and the mast here. So if you're trying to build a composition based solely on negative space, this is a really great exercise. Now, again, I'm showing this tonight. If you guys are watching this and you want to just do a freehand drawing and draw the way you want to draw, that's fine. But if you want to challenge yourself and learn about positive, negative space, please feel free to do so. There's nothing, this is virtual drink and draw. You do what you want to do. But I'm going to challenge myself tonight, and I'm going to draw with using positive and negative space. I did a little practice on this one earlier today, and I just want to show you a couple examples of, I'll take this off. So here's where we can look at, let me pull that up as a reference so you can actually see. I made this guy really big, and now I have to figure out, there we go. So you can see where we've, over here, we've got those circular, you can see where it starts filling in. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to start from scratch again. I'm not going to be on this one. We can Martha Stewart it and go to that one and again in a second. But I'm going to go back to my pencil. And I'll just leave the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack on. We felt like, well, I'm not drawing a pirate ship. It's kind of nice to get in the mood to start drawing with these Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack playing in the background. So again, we have a split screen, and I've got the full-size image on the right, and then I'm going to be doing working from my drawing here. So if I need to zoom out or anything, just feel free to let us know. But I didn't get my scale once again down pat earlier. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller too. I'll make that bigger again in a second. But I needed to give myself a sort of break it down into quadrants. So I'm just going to make myself, I have a drawing reference. So you see the grid on here. And I did that so that I could break down into quadrants. So I really kind of know where to start. And see break it down into just different areas. And then I'll do this over here, just so I got a good general idea of things I need to look at. And then I'll take that image off the background. But that'll keep me on track of trying to make this bigger. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and start on the right. That's just where my eye naturally draws me to. And this is quite a challenge. So it's intimidating to me. So I'm going to give myself, I see this little nook right here. You can't see me pointing at it. I'm trying to, this little nook where my arrow's pointing. I'm going to try to use that as a reference point for where I need to start. So I'm going to give me this little interior nook here, just so I know where I'm starting. And then I'm going to take these first few little ropes here and see that it goes up. And then it creates sort of a V in that negative space. And then if I look to the right of the rope, it goes up a little bit further. And it's a little bit wider this go around. So I'm going to go up. And then it does a little angle. And then I'm going to take that line out. That was my reference line. And then I'm going to draw again up. And now that line goes down, that rope goes down. And there are ways to get your proportions to measure. So I'm going to undo the camera so you can see. If I look at the drawing and I hold up, it's always hard when you've got, I'm going to take my virtual background off for a second. So if you hold up your pencil, if you're trying to measure, for example, the rope that's going up at an angle. So this rope right here, right? If I'm trying to measure the size, I'm going to look at my reference and I'm going to hold my pencil up and see how long it is, right? So where my thumb is, that's this length right here is roughly how I feel like how long it is. And then I can close one eye and look at your reference, your drawing, and hold it down. And where your thumb is, you can make a line so you know how long it is. And then I'll do that with the rope to the side. So if I'm looking at this rope here, if you see where I'm drawing the arrow here, if I'm trying to look at that rope, then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold my pencil up. And then I'll do that same reference to my drawing so I know how far to make that little rope. And in all honesty, I didn't do it quite right when I was showing you this, but now I know I need to make this a little bit that long. It's hard for me to explain that one when we're not in person, because you have to sort of look at it and figure out your measurement and then look at your drawing. It's a great way to teach your scale. So if you're ever watching somebody draw and you see them do this kind of thing, it helps them get the angle. So I'm also looking at, I can hold it like that and see what the angle is and make sure, like I'll do that a lot and then hold my pencil down on my drawing to see if it's at that angle. Okay, so let me put my virtual background back on so that you can see the drawing again. Take my silly mug off of this. Let me look at my time, just want to check. So we're going to go back up to the drawing. And normally I don't erase, but with exercises like this, I find myself more inclined to fix things. But this is an example of where I'll definitely use the pencil to figure out my angles. But we can see on this, if you were to take this line here, right, and then fold it down, how long would it be along this cord? And that's how long I usually make it. You can sort of measure and say that's about 1/3 of the whole rope. So if we broke this into threes, right, then this would be this length. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then I'm going to come down. It's about a 90-degree angle there. And go around that little pulley. And I have all these arrows now. So. So this has a rope and it curves around just a little bit. Now I'm going to go in the negative space inside that pulley. So if there's a little circle there, and then there's a little circle here. And then I'll go around. We know there's another end of the rope, and then the outside of the circle there. I can see this is fully closed in. And then you see a little square on top here. I probably should zoom in so you guys can see where I'm at. I'm up at the ropes now. Make sure this is no. All right. And then it just sort of ladders up here where each of those ropes fall. And then there's a little bit of a half opening there inside the circles. So we can see that area there, and then we'll come around. Okay. So this goes around here. There's a semicircle here. So I'm gonna, if I look up at the top angle here, so where this corner is, if I go directly down, that comes on just the inside of that circle. So I'm gonna take this and go down and guide me for where this half circle would be. Thanks, Eric. Eric just gave me a heads up for my time, and I think we're doing okay. We're at 7:46. So I'll spend another 5 minutes working on this, and I'm just going to work my way through. You guys keep drawing along. And at about 7:50, I'll set it out to the chat bar. And if you guys are interested in sharing your drawings, give us a note in the chat, and we'll take a look. So here where we know that these openings are up here, I can know where each rope is falling. So I've got one rope there, and there's a little opening here. So I want to go on the edge there. This has gotten a little sloppy up here, but that's okay. No, that scale's not quite right, but I'm gonna take some artistic liberty with that. Go back to clean up this a little bit. I really love these little diamonds that form, these diamond shapes that form where the ropes cross over each other. It's a really, in graphic design, when I'm making vector-based art for the computer, those little shapes really help when you're creating a graphic project, because your eye, it might be a diamond, but your eye is identifying it as space in between objects. So it's fun to use it to negative space comes in really handy in graphic design, in graphic elements, because I can just use, I could use this negative space. So if I take this and make it like a dark background in here with these 3 diamonds, I could take that element alone and make a logo for a shipbuilder. So this is where I would bring in, the negative space to help me as a designer. And I honestly think that that's why this exercise wasn't fun for me when I first started drawing, because I didn't understand the importance of it until I became a graphic designer. And I really started to see how pulling out elements like this can really help get the symbolism behind the objects without being so literal with what elements you're using. So there's another, I'm thinking there's another rope here, but I've lost my way, I think. I went down instead of up. That's all right. I'll make it through. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, so now would be the time if you're interested in sharing your drawing, because I can't see y'all's faces right now in the way I'm sharing on my drawing. But if you are interested in maybe showing your drawing before I exit out of this screen, let us know in chat, and Molly will keep an eye out and holler at me, or Eric will holler at me and say, hey, Kevin wants to share his drawing. That's right, Kevin. I saw you. You're on the call tonight. All right. So I'm going to keep finding these little wonderful shapes inside of here. And then we'll refer to my pre-established drawing that I did before we joined tonight.
Looks like Patricia wants to share.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, let me show you really quick. Patricia, hold one. And so how far off am I from my original? I'm not too far off. Let me take off my drawing. So this is, not gonna lie, I traced this one. But you can see when you start to pull that line work off, when you've got something so complicated with all of these ropes, it helps you find your way. It keeps you on track, because this kind of object would be a little too overwhelming for me to even consider. But when I think about just putting those shapes in place with a positive, negative, it offers me a great foundation to move in and start more detail work. It's not the most user-friendly is not the right word. It's not the most approachable way to draw, but it is very helpful and very useful. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then, oh, I see you, Patricia. Hang on just one second. All right. You holding it up, Patricia? What happened here? Give me 1 second. There we go. There you are. Oh, the rucksack. That looks great. I'm going to stop my spotlight. So. All right. Well, now we've got Eric's spotlight. Thank you, Patricia. I love the way that rucksack came out. Let me get my, there we go. The shading is gorgeous. Did you just use regular pencil? Oh, nice. Thank you. That is amazing. You should email me that. If we could put my email in the chat, Molly, that would be great. And then we can have folks email me if they want. Thank you, Patricia. And I'm searching for your video here so I can take the spotlight off of you. Give me a second. Do you see, Molly? Can you help me with that? Oh, wait, there it is. I see it. Remove spotlight. Done. All right.
We got Lisa
Anybody
wants
else?
to share hers, Yvette.
Lisa does. I see you, Lisa. Let me get you. Oh, another wonderful rucksack. Look at that. Holy cow. So I see, do you have a drawing on the back of your paper? Ooh, ooh. Is that a nice pen and ink with the little anchor coming down? Oh, I'm having fun with that one. I love that. Can you show us your rucksack one more time? Oh, there you go. There you go. I was going to say, I think you had a drawing on the back. So I seen that wonderful pattern and I was like, ooh, what's that? I love the line work on these. I love it. I see it. We see it really well now. Thank you. The detail, you got the shadows just right. Very nice. Thank you, Lisa. That was wonderful. Okay, let's see here. Let me see. Let me get you here. All right, anybody else? I'm scrolling through, y'all, so. All right, I see Kevin and Brittany. I didn't mean to share. Oh, nice. You got the negative space perfectly. That's Brittany. Well done. Oh, I love the comparison. I tell you guys, it was so funny. I love that everybody, I should have stayed on the rucksack, but I did. I wanted to, I always, you guys know me. I always come up with something crazy that says, no, we can't just stick with something simple. So I tell you why I do that is I do like to challenge myself too. And you saw from that first drawing, sometimes I've got it, sometimes I don't. So I want to say thank you guys for your patience tonight with positive negative space. It is sometimes really fun and sometimes very frustrating, but if you find when you're drawing and you've lost your way, you can pull out the positive negative, get yourself reestablished, and it will really help bring you back. I almost get really upset when I have to use it because then I think, doggone it, it's going back to your basics. But if you guys want, I think Molly put my email in the chat. Yes, she did. Yvette.pino@dva.wisconsin.gov. Send me your drawings. I had a couple of wonderful, I think Eva shared last month. I have a couple of wonderful drawings that I want to share on social media. Just haven't had a chance to, but if you want to just share with me, I love seeing them. If you're willing to let us share on social media, we'll do that too. But it's more about having fun and drawing from the collection. Please take a chance, if you get to take a moment and visit our website to look at those links so you get to know more about the stories that I shared tonight. Like I said, Timothy McHugh has an oral history about his time in Vietnam, and I think it's well worth the read. And I think William Stark we have more information on him as well. So I'm going to hand it back over to Eric so that he can tell us about more events that are coming up. And then if you have any more questions, thank you, Lori. Appreciate it. And please join us again. We'll be back in May, and Eric will give you some info about that. Let me just double check, Eric, before.
I'll check in from Albuquerque.
And my dad said he'll check in from Albuquerque. So he's all the way here from Albuquerque. So Eric, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Yvette. And thanks everybody for joining us for our drink and draw tonight. And like Yvette said, we do have many other programs coming up. You can find those all on our website. It was listed at the beginning of the program in the chat box, but it is whizbetsmuseum.com. And also you can check our YouTube channel as well. We post a lot of our events that we've recorded on our YouTube channel, particularly our drink and draws for everybody out there. So if you want to go back and learn some of the previous lessons or techniques that Yvette has shown you, you can always go to our YouTube channel, bring those up, and just kind of refresh yourself on those. But once again, thanks to Yvette and to everybody who showed up tonight. And also thanks to Molly for helping out tonight. And also to Jennifer Carlson, the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Veterans Museum Foundation. We always get great support from them and from our audience. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. And I don't know if it's going to rain anymore, but if it is, I hope everybody stays dry. Thanks again, and we'll see you next month, if not sooner, hopefully sooner.